Alright, so welcome back to Shruti Karen on my YouTube channel, and today we're here with another edition of how to better revise for your literature exam. So if you can hop on to my previous videos, you would be able to gain various skills on how you can improve your understanding for the structure of paper 1. At the same time, if you hop on to my previous other videos, you'd be able to see the syllabus overview for 2023 and 2024. At the same time, you'd be able to gain some very useful tips on how you can better revise and spend your time wisely. So today we're here with another edition of my YouTube video, but before we begin, do not forget to go to my Instagram. The link would be pasted below in the caption, and also don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. And also let me know how you felt about this video in the comment section below. So today we're going to look at paper 2. Paper 2 is a relatively much more easier paper to understand when compared to paper 1. So today I'm just going to show you how paper 2 looks like. Now again, all the copyright reserves goes to HKEAA, and in this video I've bought my own past paper booklet, and as you can see, this is the 2021 booklet. So this is how the paper 2 looks like. If you hop onto my previous videos, I'm sure you can see how paper 1 looks like. So for paper 2, generally, as I shared in my previous other videos, this would be the syllabus overview. So although this is a syllabus overview for 2024, which I've used in my previous videos, generally the percentage would be the same. However, keeping in mind that this was a 2021 examination, of course the percentage might have varied, and you would have to check the HKEAA website, and I will paste the link right after I finish this video in the caption below. So paper 1 is a very interesting piece of paper, and I'm just going to use one of my draft paper to really explain how paper 2 looks like and what are some of the things that you should keep in mind. So paper 2 generally would be comprised of 3 different sections. So you can see it over here, 3 different sections. So in this first section, you would be given 2 options generally. So the first option would be a novel, and the second option would be a play. Now, of course, depending on the year, you'd have to look back to your syllabus, and I will show you the syllabus for the 2021 just very shortly after I generally explain the structure of paper 2. So this is generally part A, this will be part B, and this will be part C. So in part B, you can notice that there is actually 2 options that you can choose from, and usually these are the poems that you've studied. So they'll give you, in option 1 you'll get poem A and poem B. In option 2 you'll get poem C and poem D. So you just have to pick one to see which one better fits your bank of knowledge, and also which one you'd think will help you gain the most amount of marks. Part C is generally unseen poetry, and usually this comes from the Rattle Bag, and Rattle Bag is in fact also in your syllabus, but usually it's quite not feasible to go through all the poems in Rattle Bag because there's like 200 poems in Rattle Bag. So if you can just have a quick skim through the book, I think that'd be really helpful. And also, if you join my tutorial sessions, I'd be able to show you how you can effectively strategize which poems can be possible poems in your examinations. But for now, I just want to quickly show you the syllabus as I've promised before. So you can see this is how the 2021 booklet looks like. So again, for the first section, you'd have options between the novels and the plays. So they'll give you 4 different texts. So be very careful when you look at the examination and do not get confused. For example, let's imagine that we've studied The Great Gatsby in our school and we've studied Educating Rita. So when you see 4 different options in your examination, you should already cross out To Kill a Mockingbird and Taming of the Shrew, because that's something probably you will not be very familiar with. Unless if your school has studied The Great Gatsby and Educating Rita, but you feel more confident in To Kill a Mockingbird or The Shamming of the Shrew, of course you can go ahead and choose those. But well, for most of the students, I don't think this is a more feasible method. So obviously you'd be choosing between Great Gatsby or Educating Rita. Now, if you've decided that you're going to go between these 2, Great Gatsby and Educating Rita, be careful to make sure that you only choose one rather than doing both of them. So you have to be very mindful on how you will be choosing the questions to make sure, again, first tip, you can get the most amounts of marks, and number 2, which one you feel more comfortable with. Number 3, to make sure that you'd be able to generate points very quickly under the time management scheme. So in the second part of the paper 2, as I've shared, so as I've shared, for part B, you'd have 2 poetries to choose from. So each option has 1 pair. So generally you'd have 2 pairs and you just choose 1 pair. Now, usually, according to my structure mentioned here, A, B, C, and D would be all poetries chosen from this. So it is your syllabus. Now, if you've looked at my previous videos on how to revise or looking at the 2023 and 2024 syllabus, you'd be able to notice that I've mentioned that it's always good to go through all of the poems so that it's more beneficial, because when you're having your exam, it kind of makes sure that you've at least you'd have knowledge on all of these poems beforehand. So it kind of makes the process in the DSE examinations much more easier. However, let's imagine that you are in your study leave period and you've just started studying for the literature exam, which I know is quite risky, but let's just imagine you're not aiming for a top grade and you've just began revising during your study leave. So it's always a good idea to look at the previous past papers and see which of the poems are not repeated. However, take this in mind that some of the poems do repeat every year, and this is not an ideal way of really predicting the questions. However, again, if you'd like to gain more tips and you'd like to predict your examination questions on... Now, again, the prediction does not come very naturally. Of course, you need to go through the previous past papers to make sure that you're not studying the poems that have repeated in the past year during your study leave. Because when you're in your study leave, you want to make sure that you're utilizing every time carefully, because you have lots of different subjects. So again, you have to be very mindful on your time management. So it's always good to start studying for literature in English, at least before the study leave. And then lastly, as I've said, this is the unseen poetry, and that generally comes from the Rattle Bag. Now, it's very helpful if you have the Rattle Bag book with you, and I'm sure you can find them through Amazon, or probably your school itself would provide you with this book. However, I understand that some of the schools do not provide the Rattle Bag, so it's always a good idea to go through Book Depository or Amazon to purchase one of these books. And I will definitely put the links for Amazon and Book Depository in the caption below, so do make sure to check them below. And yeah. So, going back into paper 2, now I want to go in more detail. So I'm just going to speedily go through this part. So this is paper 2. So as I've mentioned, now if you look closely with my structure over here, part A will be about novel and the play. So looking back into this, so you can see that the first option is from The Taming of the Shrew, which is a play, I believe. And then Educating Rita is also a play. Then we have The Great Gatsby, which is a novel. And lastly, we have To Kill a Mockingbird, which is a novel. So if you've paid attention very closely in the previous few minutes that I've discussed in this video, you'd be able to realize that you only have to choose one question. So moving on super quickly, this is the poetry section. So as I've shared, each option will give you a pair of poems. So this is Poppies in July and A Poison Tree. And in the second option, you'd be able to see another pair of poems. So this is Poem in October and The Chimney Sweeper. So one of the major tips that I'd like to give you when you're choosing your poems is to make sure you choose a question that, again, you feel very comfortable with. And number two, you can make sure you have lots of poetic techniques to use. Now, unseen poetry is something that most students usually fail to assimilate in a very comprehensive manner. So I will be creating another YouTube video specifically on the unseen poetry. But for now, what I'd like to say is you need to read. It's always a very good idea to read both of the poetries. Just spend around 2 to 3 minutes reading through the poetry and trying to see which of the themes would give you a more better comfort level. So this is the general idea for paper 2. I will be sharing a couple more few videos on the exam structure because I understand that it is indeed very complicated. So I really do hope that this YouTube video have really helped you, and do share in the comment box if you'd like me to share anything else. At the same time, I want to share that I already have a couple of exclusive limited edition to my literature booklet, and it's like general notes. So in that booklet, you'd be able to gain the structure of paper 1 and paper 2. You'd be able to see the syllabus overview with good annotation. At the same time, you'd be able to gain exclusive and good and important key terms that you would need for like your play analysis, film analysis, poetry analysis, etc. and etc. So if you'd like to gain a copy of that, please email me, and my email address is listed in the caption below. And don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you, everyone.